Okay, in this video we're going to be talking about similes and metaphors. Similes and metaphors are parts of figurative language, and they're very helpful in making your writing very interesting, or more interesting, more colorful, flavorful, giving the reader something more to grasp, giving them something better to visualize when they're trying to understand what it is you're trying to say, what you're trying to describe. And I've got an example of one of each over here with the definitions. So if we flip it around, I'm going to show you what they are. All right. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. The first one here is simile. And it says that a simile is a descriptive phrase using like or as. The words like or as. Let's go down here and see what it says in the example. It says, the car in front of us was moving as slow as, there's as, a snail, so we didn't get home on time. It's describing the speed of the car to that of a snail. Now, granted, that's a bit of an exaggeration because cars don't move as slow as snails. I mean, even 1 mile an hour is faster than a snail, but you get the idea. Metaphor down here. A descriptive phrase that doesn't use like or as. So once again, it does the same job. It describes, but it doesn't use like or as. Here's the example. We didn't get home on time because the car in front of us was a snail. So I'm using the same information, just rewording it a little bit. Still saying the car is slow, but instead of saying that it was like a snail or as slow as a snail, I'm saying it basically was a snail. That's how slow it was moving. Once again, exaggeration, but you get the idea. We're talking about how slow the car was moving and why they didn't get home on time. Now, here's examples of each one, and I didn't label them. I'm going to see if you guys can figure out what each one is. Let's take a look at number one. It says, the rich man's house was like a mountain. It was so big. What are we talking about? We're talking about a rich man's house and how big it was. How big was it? Well, it was like a mountain. It was that big. Granted, an exaggeration, but it's explaining how large the house is. And because of the word like, it is a simile. I'm going to put an S right there for simile. Let's take a look at number two. The night sky was a black blanket over the earth. Now, is the night sky literally a blanket? No, of course not. What are we trying to say here? We're trying to say how dark it was. The night sky was a black blanket over the earth. Do you see like or as here? No, you do not. So what would this be? This would be a metaphor. Because I don't see like or as, but it's still describing the darkness of the night sky, comparing it to that of a black blanket. Let's take a look at number three. The pitcher's fastball was a lightning bolt. Nobody could hit it. Do you see like or as here? No, you don't. So once again, it is a metaphor. And what's it describing? It's describing how fast the pitcher's fastball was, so much, in fact, that nobody could hit it. So what did they compare it to? A lightning bolt. It was a lightning bolt. Once again, an exaggeration, but figurative language does that. Let's go to the last one, number four. The tree in our backyard is as tall as the Empire State Building. Once again, exaggeration, but what are we trying to say? We're trying to say how tall the tree is, and because I see the word as, I know it's another simile. So we've got a simile, a metaphor, and a simile. Here's like, so that's a simile. There's no like or as here, it's a metaphor. There's no like or as here, it's another metaphor. And down here, here's as tall as, a simile. But they all have one thing in common. What is that? They compare, they describe something in a colorful way to make things a little more interesting, make it more of a visual thing. Oh, that's how big it was. That's how dark it was. That's how fast the pitch was. That's how tall the tree is. You see what I'm saying? So those are ways to do it. Once again, similes are descriptive phrases using like or as, and metaphors don't use like or as, but they do the same job. Hope you find that helpful.